Captain Jacob Torres stood in the sterile white room of the orbital station and stared at the dying alien across from him. Ambassador Veltar was a Navigari, one of those rare beings who could see the stars in their minds like humans saw a map on a table. His skin was turning gray and his breathing came in short gasps. Jacob knew the ambassador did not have much time left. "Captain Torres," Veltar said softly. His voice was weak but clear. "Thank you for coming," Jacob nodded. He was not good with dying people, but he came anyway. The message had said it was urgent. "What can I do for you, Ambassador?" Veltar coughed and looked toward the corner of the room. A small figure sat there, quiet and still. It was a child, maybe 10 years old in human terms. She had the same silver skin as her father, but hers still glowed with life. Her large eyes watched Jacob with no expression. "My daughter, Lyra," Veltar said. "She is all I have left. Her mother died years ago. When I die, the government will take her. They will put her in a navigation facility. She will spend her life calculating jump routes for military ships. She will never have a home, never have a family. She will be a tool, nothing more." Jacob felt something cold settle in his stomach. He had heard about those facilities. The Navigari were so rare and valuable that their government treated them like living computers, children included. "That is terrible," Jacob said. "But what can I do? I am just a freighter captain." "Exactly," Veltar said, and his eyes brightened with hope. "You need a navigator. Your ship's AI system failed 3 months ago. I checked. You have been using outdated star charts and guessing at safe routes. It is dangerous. Sooner or later, you will hit a gravity well or fly into a solar flare." Jacob said nothing because the ambassador was right. Navigation AI was expensive, more than he could afford. He had been lucky so far, but luck always ran out. "Lyra can navigate," Veltar continued.
"She is young, but she is gifted, even for our people."
"She can see routes that computers miss. She can save you fuel and time. She can keep you safe." "And you want me to take her?" Jacob asked slowly. "I want you to adopt her," Veltar said. "Legally, completely. If she is your daughter, the government cannot take her. She will belong to you. She will have a home. In return, she will navigate your ship. A fair trade." Jacob looked at the girl again. She was watching him now, her eyes steady and sad. She did not look scared. She looked tired, like she had already accepted whatever was going to happen to her. "I do not know anything about raising kids," Jacob said. "Especially not alien kids. Neither do the people at the facility," Veltar said. "But they will use her until she breaks. You, I think, will try to do better. I have researched you, Captain. You are not a cruel man. You take care of your crew. You keep your word. That is all I can ask for." Jacob rubbed his face with both hands. This was crazy. He ran a small freighter with 2 other crew members. They hauled cargo across dangerous space. It was no place for a child. But what choice did she have? The facility or him? At least with him, she might have something that looked like a life. "If I do this," Jacob said carefully, "she is not just my navigator. She is my daughter. That means I take care of her. I make sure she is safe. I do not treat her like equipment. You understand?" Veltar smiled and tears ran down his gray face. "Yes, that is what I hoped you would say. Thank you, Captain. Thank you." The next hour was a blur of legal documents and digital signatures. A lawyer appeared with papers already prepared. Jacob signed his name over and over. When it was done, Lyra was legally his daughter. Veltar held his daughter's hand one last time.
"Be good, Lyra," he whispered.
"Be strong. Your new father will take care of you." "Yes, father," Lyra said softly. Her voice was small and musical. Veltar looked at Jacob one more time. "She likes stories," he said, "and she is afraid of the dark. Remember that." Then the ambassador closed his eyes and let out a long final breath. Lyra did not cry. She just stood up and looked at Jacob. "Where is your ship, Captain Torres?" she asked. "Just call me Jacob," he said awkwardly. Or Dad, I guess. "If you want," she nodded once. "Where is your ship, Jacob?" "This way," he said. They walked through the station corridors in silence. Jacob carried the small bag that held everything Lyra owned. It was not much. Some clothes, a data pad, and a small crystal that glowed with soft blue light. When they reached the docking bay, Jacob's ship was waiting. The Wayfarer was old and ugly, covered in repair patches and dents. It was not much to look at, but it flew and it was home. His crew was waiting at the airlock. Maya, his engineer, was a tall woman with short black hair and grease on her hands. Chen, his medic, was a young man with a friendly smile. "This is Lyra," Jacob said. "She is my daughter now. She is also our new navigator." Maya raised her eyebrows but said nothing. Chen smiled and waved. "Welcome aboard, Lyra." Lyra looked at them both and then at the ship. "This vessel is old," she said, "but the engine signature is stable. You maintain it well." Maya grinned. "I like her already." Jacob showed Lyra to her quarters. It was a small room with a bed, a desk, and a window that showed the stars. "This is yours," he said. "You can change anything you want. Make it feel like home." Lyra set her bag on the bed and looked around. "Where is the navigation bay?" "Down the hall," Jacob said. "But you do not need to work right now. You can rest. Today has been hard." "I do not need rest," Lyra said. "I need to calculate our next jump. You have a delivery to make. The route through the Kessler field has 3 new asteroid clusters since your last chart update. I will plot a safer course." Jacob stared at her. "You know about our next job?" "I accessed your ship's logs while we walked here," she said calmly. "Your datapad security is poor. You should fix that." Maya laughed from the doorway. "Oh, I really like her." That night, Jacob could not sleep. He kept thinking about the small alien girl in the room down the hall. What had he done? He did not know how to be a father. He did not know what Navigari children needed. He did not even know what she ate. He got up and walked to the navigation bay. Lyra was there, sitting in the main chair, her hands moving across the holographic controls. Her eyes glowed silver in the dark as she saw the stars in her mind. "You should be sleeping," Jacob said quietly. "I am working," Lyra said without looking at him. "That is why you took me." "I took you because your father asked me to give you a home," Jacob said. "The navigation is just part of the deal." Lyra finally looked at him. "Is there a difference?" Jacob thought about that. In her world, probably not. She had been raised to believe her value was in her ability. "Nothing more, yes," he said firmly. "There is a big difference, and I am going to show you. But first you need sleep. Come on." For a moment she hesitated. Then she stood up and followed him back to her quarters. At the door she paused. "Jacob," she said softly. "Yes? My father was right about you." She stepped inside and closed the door. Jacob stood in the hallway for a long moment. Then he went back to his own quarters and tried to figure out how to raise an alien child who thought she was just a living tool. It was going to be harder than he thought. The first week on the Wayfarer was strange for everyone. Lyra moved through the ship like a ghost. She woke early, went to the navigation bay and worked for hours without speaking. She calculated jump coordinates with perfect accuracy. She found shortcuts that saved them fuel and time. She was exactly what Jacob needed, but she was not what he wanted. Jacob wanted to see her smile. He wanted to hear her laugh. He wanted her to act like a child, not a machine. But Lyra did not seem to know how. At mealtimes, she ate very little. Jacob tried to make food she might like, but he had no idea what Navigari ate. The first time he served her something, she looked at it for a long time before taking one small bite. She did not complain, but she did not eat much either. "You need to eat more," Chen said gently one evening. "You are growing. You need energy." "I eat enough to function," Lyra replied, "but not enough to be healthy," Chen insisted. Lyra looked confused. "Why does that matter?" "As long as I can navigate, I am fulfilling my purpose." Maya slammed her hand on the table. "You are not a damn tool. You are a kid." Lyra stared at her, then stood up and left the galley without another word. Jacob followed her and found her in the navigation bay again, working on calculations that did not need to be done for days. "Lyra," he said quietly, "can we talk?" "Did I make an error?" she asked without turning around. "No, your work is perfect." "That is the problem." She finally looked at him. "I do not understand." Jacob sat down in the co-pilot chair. "Your father did not give you to me so you could work yourself to death. He gave you to me so you could have a life. That means eating properly, sleeping in your bed, not in this chair, talking to people, being a kid." "I was not raised to be a child," Lyra said. "I was raised to be valuable." The words hit Jacob like a punch. "You are valuable," he said, "but not because you can navigate. You are valuable because you are you, because you are alive, because you are my daughter now." Lyra looked down at her hands. "I do not know how to be a daughter. I do not know how to be a father," Jacob admitted. "So we will learn together." "Deal?" She nodded slowly. "Deal." The days passed and things did not get much easier. Jakob tried to learn about Navigari culture, but information was hard to find. He made mistakes constantly. He accidentally insulted her twice by using the wrong gesture. He did not know she needed more water than humans. He served her food that made her sick because he did not know Navigari could not digest certain proteins, but he kept trying. Maya helped too. She started teaching Lyra how to fix engines. At first, Lyra did not understand why she needed to know this. "I am a navigator," she said. "Not an engineer." "You are crew," Maya corrected. "And crew helps each other. Besides, it is fun to take things apart and put them back together. Trust me." Slowly, Lyra started spending time in the engine room. She asked questions. She learned how the systems worked. Maya was patient and kind, and gradually, Lyra began to relax around her. Chen took a different approach. He told stories during meals, funny stories about his medical training, exciting stories about adventures on other ships. He made Lyra smile once, just a tiny smile, when he told her about the time he accidentally sedated himself instead of a patient. "You are making that up," Lyra said. "I swear it is true." Chen laughed. "I woke up 6 hours later on the floor. The patient had to call for help." That tiny smile was the best thing Jakob had seen all week. Then came the pirates. The Wayfarer was passing through the outer edge of the Gemini sector when the attack happened. 3 small ships came out of nowhere, fast and armed. They demanded Jakob surrender his cargo. "Not happening," Jakob said, his hands flying over the controls. "Lyra, I need an escape route now." Lyra was already working. Her eyes glowed bright silver as she calculated vectors in her head. "There is a debris field 2 million kilometers ahead. Dense, dangerous, but I can guide us through it. They will not be able to follow." "Do it," Jakob said. The next 15 minutes were the scariest of Jakob's life. Lyra called out course corrections in a calm, steady voice while laser fire lit up the space behind them. Jakob trusted her completely. When she said turn left, he turned left. When she said cut engines, he cut engines. When she said jump on her mark, he jumped. They came out of the debris field scratched but whole. The pirates were gone, lost somewhere in the wreckage. Jakob let out a long breath. "That was incredible, Lyra. You saved us." Lyra looked at him with those strange silver eyes. "I perform my function," she said. "That is what I am for." Jakob felt his chest tighten. She still did not understand. She had saved their lives, and she thought it was just her job. Nothing more. That night, Jakob went to Lyra's quarters. She was sitting on her bed looking out the window at the stars. She had not changed anything in the room. It looked exactly like it had the day she arrived. "Can I come in?" Jakob asked. "Yes," she said. He sat down on the floor beside her bed. "I wanted to say thank you for today. You were amazing." "I did what was required," she said. "No," Jakob said. "You did more than that. You stayed calm. You trusted yourself. You saved everyone on this ship. That is not just doing a job. That is being brave." Lyra was quiet for a long time. "My father used to say I was brave," she finally said. "But I do not feel brave. I just do what I'm supposed to do." "Your father was right," Jakob said, "and I wish I could have told him that you are more than any of us could have hoped for. Not because you are useful, but because you are you." Lyra looked at him, and for the first time Jakob saw tears in her eyes. She blinked them away quickly. "I miss him," she whispered. "I know," Jakob said. "I am sorry." They sat together in silence. Jakob did not know what to say. He was not good at this, but maybe that was okay. Maybe being there was enough. After a while, Lyra said, "Jakob?" "Yes? Will you stay?" "Just for a little while?" Jakob smiled. Of course, he stayed until she fell asleep. When he left, he noticed something different. She had moved the glowing crystal from her bag to the desk beside her bed. It was a small change, but it was a start. Maybe, Jakob thought, they were going to be okay after all. The next morning, Lyra was back in the navigation bay. But this time, when Maya came in to work on the auxiliary systems, Lyra asked if she could help. And when Chen brought her breakfast, she ate more than usual. They were small steps, but they were steps forward. Jakob watched from the doorway and allowed himself to hope. This was going to be a long journey, but maybe that was okay. Good things he was learning took time. 3 weeks passed, then 4. Slowly, carefully, things began to change on the Wayfarer. The changes were small at first, so small that Jakob almost missed them. But they were there. Lyra started eating breakfast with the crew. She still did not eat much, but she was trying. Chen learned which foods she could digest and which ones made her sick. He started cooking special meals just for her. At first, Lyra did not understand why he was going to so much trouble. "It is inefficient," she told him. "You could use that time for other tasks." Chen just smiled. "Taking care of people is never a waste of time, Lyra. That is what families do." Lyra thought about that for a long time. Maya taught her more about the engines. Lyra was a quick learner, and soon she was helping with basic repairs. One day she fixed a problem with the cooling system before Maya even noticed it was broken. "How did you know?" Maya asked, impressed. "I felt the vibration change," Lyra said. "The pattern was wrong. So I checked." Maya grinned. "You are going to make a great engineer someday, if you want to be one." "I am a navigator," Lyra said automatically. Then she paused. "But I like fixing things too. Is it okay to be both?"
Kid, Maya said, you can be anything you want.
That is the whole point. Jakob started a new tradition. Every night before bed, he would go to Lyra's quarters and read to her. He chose adventure stories from Earth, tales of brave heroes in distant worlds. At first, Lyra listened silently, her face showing no expression. But gradually, she started asking questions. What happened next? Why did the hero do that? What does that word mean? One night, Jakob was reading a story about a lost ship finding its way home. When he finished the chapter, Lyra was quiet for a long time. "Jakob," she said softly. "Yes? Do you think my father knew I would be okay here?" Jakob closed the book. "I think your father knew exactly what he was doing. He found someone who would see you as a person, not a tool. He gave you a chance at a real life. That is the greatest gift a parent can give," Lyra nodded. "I think I understand now." "A little bit." But the real change came 6 weeks after Lyra joined the crew. They were docked at a station for routine maintenance when Lyra started acting strange. She was tired all the time. Her skin, usually bright silver, looked dull. She could barely eat. Chen examined her and his face went pale. "Jakob, we have a problem. She has Navigari flux syndrome. It is a metabolic condition, rare but deadly if not treated." "What does she need?" Jakob asked immediately. "A specific medicine. Tiraxin 7. But it is expensive and hard to find. This station does not have it." "Then we find it somewhere else," Jakob said. "How long does she have?" "Without treatment? Maybe a week, maybe less." Jacob did not hesitate. He spent the next 3 days calling every contact he had. He promised favors he could not afford. He took loans that would put him in debt for years. He traveled to 2 different stations, chasing leads that went nowhere. He barely slept. He barely ate. Maya and Chen helped however they could. They watched over Lyra, who was getting weaker every day. She tried to work, tried to be useful, but she could barely stand. "Rest," Chen told her gently. "Just rest." "But I need to work," Lyra whispered. "That is why I am here." "No," Maya said firmly. "You are here because you are family, and family takes care of each other. So let us take care of you." On the 4th day, Jakob finally found a trader who had Tiraxin 7. The price was outrageous. It would cost everything Jakob had saved. Plus, he would have to give up 2 months of cargo contracts to work for the trader instead. Jakob agreed without blinking. He brought the medicine back to the wayfarer and gave it to Chen, who immediately started treatment. Lyra was barely conscious, but she looked at Jakob with those silver eyes. You did not have to," she whispered. "Yes, I did," Jakob said. He took her hand. It was so small and cold. "Because you are my daughter. And that means I will move mountains if I have to. I will sell the ship if I have to. I will do anything to keep you safe. Do you understand?" A single tear ran down Lyra's face. "Why?" "Because you matter," Jacob said simply. "Not because you can navigate.
Not because you are useful.
But because you are you. Because you are alive. Because I care about you." Lyra closed her eyes. More tears came running down her silver skin. "No one has ever fought for me before," she whispered. "Only my father. And now you." "Get used to it," Jacob said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Because I'm not going anywhere." The medicine worked. Within 2 days, Lyra's color returned. Within a week, she was back on her feet. But something had changed. She looked at Jacob differently now. She looked at all of them differently. One evening, Lyra came to the galley where the crew was eating dinner. She stood in the doorway for a moment, nervous. "Can I sit with you?" she asked. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Chen smiled and pulled out a chair. Always. They ate together, and for the first time Lyra talked. She told them about her father, about growing up on Velix Prime, about the things she missed from home. She asked questions about Earth, about Maya's family, about Chen's medical school. She laughed at their jokes. She told a joke of her own, and everyone laughed, even though it was not very funny. It was the best dinner Jakob had ever had. Later that night, Jakob was in his quarters going over the financial damage from buying the medicine. It was bad. Really bad. But he did not regret it. Not for a second. There was a soft knock on his door. "Come in," he called. Lyra stepped inside. She was carrying something small in her hands. "I wanted to give you this," she said. She held out the glowing blue crystal. "It was my mother's. My father gave it to me before she died. It is the most valuable thing I own." "Lyra, I cannot take that," Jacob said. "Please," she said. "You gave everything to save me. I want to give you something back." Jakob knelt down so he was at her eye level. "Lyra, you do not owe me anything. I did not save you because I wanted payment. I saved you because you are my daughter. Do you understand? You do not have to earn my love. You already have it." Lyra stared at him. Then slowly she wrapped her arms around his neck and hugged him. It was the first time she had ever done that. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, Captain Jacob." Jacob hugged her back, and something tight in his chest finally loosened. "Just Jacob," he said softly. "Or Dad. Whichever you like." She pulled back and looked at him. "Jacob," she said firmly. Then quieter, testing the word Dad. Jacob smiled. It was a start. 4 months after Lyra joined the crew, the Wayfarer felt like a completely different ship. The changes were everywhere, but the biggest change was in Lyra herself. She laughed now. Real laughs. Not the polite sounds she used to make when she thought she was supposed to. She argued with Maya about the best way to calibrate the engine manifolds. She played word games with Chen during long jumps. She decorated her quarters with drawings she made, pictures of nebulas and star systems she had seen. She was living, not just existing. One day, Lyra came to Jakob in the cockpit. "Can you teach me to pilot?" she asked. Jakob looked up in surprise. "You want to learn to fly?" "Yes," she said. "I can see the routes in my mind, but I want to understand how to follow them. I want to know how the ship feels. Does that make sense?" Jakob smiled. "Perfect sense. Sit down. Let me show you." They spent hours together in the cockpit. Jakob taught her how to read the instruments, how to feel the ship's responses, how to make tiny adjustments that kept them on course. Lyra was a natural. Her ability to see space in 3 dimensions made her understand things that took other pilots years to learn. "You are good at this," Jacob said proudly. "I have a good teacher," Lyra replied, and Jacob felt his chest swell with pride. Everything was going well. Too well, Jacob sometimes thought. He kept waiting for something to go wrong, and then something did. They were docked at Redemption Station for supplies when a man in an expensive suit approached Jacob on the station concourse. He had 2 bodyguards and the confident look of someone with too much money. "Captain Torres?" the man said. "My name is Marcus Venn. I represent Stellar Navigation Corporation. I would like to talk to you about your Navigari." Jacob felt ice in his veins. "She is not my Navigari. She is my daughter." Venn smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. "Of course. Your adopted daughter. Very admirable. But let us be realistic, Captain. You are a small-time freighter operator. You cannot possibly provide for her the way we could. We have state-of-the-art facilities, the best education, the finest medical care. She has everything she needs," Jacob said coldly. "Does she?" Venn pulled out a data pad. "We have researched your financial situation, Captain. You are in significant debt after purchasing her medication. You are behind on ship maintenance. You are taking contracts in dangerous sectors because they pay better. Is that really the best environment for a child?" Jacob's hands clenched into fists. "Get to the point." "We are prepared to offer you 5 million credits for her contract," Venn said smoothly. "That would solve all your financial problems. You could get a new ship, a better life, and she would have access to opportunities you could never give her." For a moment, Jacob just stared at him. 5 million credits? It was more money than he had ever seen in his life. It would solve everything. But the thought of giving up Lyra made him feel sick. "No," Jacob said. "Captain, be reasonable. Think about what is best for her. I am thinking about her, Jacob said, his voice hard. And what is best for her is staying with people who love her. People who see her as a person, not a resource. People who would never sell her for any amount of money. Ben's smile disappeared. You are making a mistake. No, Jacob said. The only mistake would be listening to you. Now get out of my way. He pushed past Ven and his bodyguards and headed back to the Wayfarer. His heart was pounding. 5 million credits? He had turned down 5 million credits without even thinking about it. When he got back to the ship, Lyra was in the navigation bay. She looked up when he entered. Jacob, is something wrong? He sat down heavily. Someone just offered me a lot of money for you. Lyra went very still. Oh? I told them no, Jacob said quickly. I told them you are not for sale. Not for any price. Because you are my daughter and I am never giving you up. Never. Lyra stared at him. You turned down money for me? Of course I did, Jacob said. Lyra, you are family. Family is not something you sell. It is something you protect. It is something you keep no matter what. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. She stood up and walked over to him. Jacob, I do not know what to say. You do not have to say anything, Jacob said. He put his arm around her shoulders. Just know that you are safe here, always. Lyra leaned against him. I know, she whispered. I know now. That night, Jacob made a decision. He went to his quarters and pulled out the adoption papers. They were legal, but they were temporary. They could be challenged. They could be revoked. That was not good enough. He spent the next 3 days filling out new paperwork. Permanent adoption papers. The kind that could not be undone. The kind that made Lyra his daughter in every legal sense. He paid extra for rush processing. He wanted this done. When the final documents came through, he called Lyra to his quarters. I have something for you, he said. He handed her the papers. She read them slowly, her silver eyes moving across each line. When she finished, she looked up at him. These are permanent, she said softly. They cannot be changed. That is right, Jacob said. You are legally my daughter now, completely forever. No one can take you away. No one can buy you. You are mine and I am yours. Family. Lyra looked at the papers again. Her hands were shaking. Jacob, Thank you. Thank you so much. You do not have to thank me, Jacob said. This is what I wanted. What I have wanted since the day your father asked me to take care of you. Lyra set the papers down carefully. Then she looked at Jacob with an expression he had never seen before. It was hope. It was happiness. It was love, Dad, she said. Not Jacob, not Captain. Just Dad. Jacob felt tears in his own eyes. Yes, sweetheart? I'm glad it was you, Lyra said. I am glad my father found you. I am glad I am here. Jacob hugged her tightly. Me too, Lyra, me too. Later, Maya and Chen celebrated with them. They had a small party in the galley. Chen made Lyra's favorite food. Maya gave her a small toolkit she had been putting together. Jacob gave her a new datapad, one that was just for her to use however she wanted. To family, Chen said. Raising his cup to family, they all echoed. Lyra smiled, and it was the brightest, most genuine smile Jacob had ever seen. She was happy. She was safe. She was loved. She was home. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Jacob stood in the cockpit and looked out at the stars. The same stars Lyra could see in her mind. The same stars that had brought them together. He thought about Velthar, about the trust the ambassador had placed in him. He hoped wherever Velthar was now, he knew his daughter was okay. More than okay. She was thriving. Thank you, Jacob whispered to the stars. Thank you for trusting me with her. The stars did not answer, but somehow Jacob felt that Velthar heard him anyway. 6 months into their journey together, the Wayfarer picked up a distress signal. It came from deep space, from a region known for unstable stellar phenomena. Most ships avoided it completely. We should ignore it, Maya said, looking at the coordinates. That is the Serpent Nebula. Nothing good ever happens there. There are people out there, Chen said quietly. The signal says they have 200 refugees. Families. Children. Jacob looked at the data. The ship was stranded, its engines dead, drifting toward a gravity anomaly. In 12 hours, they would be pulled in and crushed. No one else was close enough to help. We have to try, Jacob said. It is voluntary, Maya said. We do not have to risk ourselves for strangers. Jacob looked around at his crew. Chen was already preparing medical supplies. Maya had her arms crossed, but he could see she was already calculating what they would need, and Lyra was watching him with those silver eyes, waiting. "What do you think, Lyra?" Jakob asked. "Can you get us through the nebula?" Lyra closed her eyes. Jakob knew she was seeing the space around them in her mind, mapping the gravity wells and radiation fields, calculating vectors that no computer could match. "Yes," she said finally. "But it will be dangerous. The gravity shifts every few minutes. I will need to guide us through in real time. If I make a mistake, we could be torn apart. Do you want to try?" Jakob asked gently. Lyra opened her eyes. "There are children on that ship," she said. "Like me, they need help." "We have to try," Jakob smiled. "Then we try." The journey into the nebula was the most terrifying thing any of them had ever experienced. The space around them twisted and bent. Stars disappeared and reappeared in wrong positions. The ship groaned and shuddered as gravity pulled at it from multiple directions. But Lyra never hesitated. She sat in the navigation chair, her eyes glowing bright silver, and called out course corrections in a steady voice. "Left 15 degrees. Hold steady. Now dive 30 degrees down. Cut engines. Wait, now full thrust forward. Right 10 degrees. Jakob followed every instruction without question. He trusted her completely. The crew worked together perfectly. Maya kept the engines running despite the stress. Chen monitored their life support. And Lyra guided them through impossible space. After 2 hours, they found the refugee ship. It was a civilian transport, old and damaged. Jakob could see people through the windows pressed against the glass, watching them with desperate hope. "Can we get close enough to dock?" Jakob asked. "Yes," Lyra said. "But we need to be fast. The gravity well is pulling harder. We have maybe 20 minutes. The next 20 minutes were chaos." They docked with the refugee ship and opened the airlocks. 200 people poured onto the Wayfarer. Men, women, children, all of them scared and exhausted. Chen directed them to safe areas. Maya made sure the ship could handle the extra weight. "Everyone is aboard," Chen shouted. "We need to go." Jakob hit the release. The ship separated. But as they did, the Wayfarer shuddered. Something had damaged their main thruster during the rescue. "We have a problem," Maya called from engineering. "Thruster 3 is failing. We cannot accelerate fast enough. The gravity well is going to catch us." Jakob felt his stomach drop. They had saved the refugees, but now they were all going to die together. "No," Lyra said firmly. "There is a way." She closed her eyes again. For a long moment, she was completely still. Then she started calling out a course that made no sense. She was directing them toward the gravity well, not away from it. "Lyra, we need to go the other way," Jakob said. "Trust me," Lyra said. "Please, Dad, trust me." Jakob took a breath. Then he followed her instructions. They dove toward the gravity well, picking up speed. The ship shook violently. Alarms screamed. The refugees were crying out in fear. But Lyra kept guiding them, her voice never wavering. At the last possible second, she called for a hard turn. Jakob pulled on the controls with all his strength. The ship curved around the edge of the gravity well, using its pull like a slingshot. They shot out of the nebula at incredible speed, faster than their engines could have pushed them. They were safe. For a moment, no one moved. Then Chen started laughing. Maya whooped from the engine room. The refugees began cheering. They had made it. All of them. Jakob looked at Lyra. She was pale and shaking, but she was smiling. "That was amazing," Jakob said. "You saved everyone." "We saved everyone," Lyra corrected. "All of us together." Jakob pulled her into a hug. "I am so proud of you." "I am proud of us," Lyra said. She pulled back and looked at him seriously. "Dad, did we save them because it was the right thing to do?" "Yes," Jakob said. "That is what families do," Lyra said. "They help people, even when it is hard, even when it is dangerous, because it is the right thing to do," Jakob smiled. "Exactly." Among the refugees were several Navigari, adults and children, all of them treated like cargo by the people who had been transporting them. When they saw Lyra, they stared in shock. One of the children, a young Navigari boy, approached her cautiously. "Are you really the daughter of a human?" he asked. "Yes," Lyra said. "This is my dad, and this is my family. But you are not working for him?" the boy asked, confused. "You are not calculating routes all the time?" "I do navigate," Lyra said. "But that is not all I am. I also help fix the engines. I am learning to pilot, I read stories and play games and eat meals with my family. I do lots of things. The boy looked at her like she was speaking a foreign language. You can do that? Yes, Lyra said gently. You can too. You are more than your abilities. You are a person. You matter. The boy's eyes filled with tears. I want that, he whispered. I want to matter. Lyra took his hand. You already do, come on. Let me introduce you to my family. Jacob watched as Lyra brought the Navigari children to meet Chen and Maya. She explained who everyone was. She showed them around the ship. She told them stories about living with humans. And slowly the children started to relax. They started to hope. Later, when the refugees had been safely delivered to a station, one of the adult Navigari approached Jacob. Thank you, she said, not just for saving us, but for showing us something we did not know was possible. We heard stories about the human captain who adopted a Navigari child. We thought they were just stories. But seeing Lyra, seeing how she lives, how she is treated, it gives us hope. It shows us that we can be more than tools. Jacob did not know what to say. She is my daughter, he said finally. That is all that matters to me. That is exactly why it matters to us, the Navigari woman said. Because you see her as a person first. Not many people do that for our kind. Thank you. Word of the rescue spread quickly. The human freighter captain and his Navigari daughter, who had saved 200 refugees from certain death. The ship that treated alien children like family. The crew that risked everything to help strangers. Jacob did not care about the attention, but he cared that Lyra was becoming a symbol of something important, a symbol of hope, a symbol that things could be different. That night, Lyra came to him before bed. Dad, can I ask you something? Always, Jacob said. Why do humans do this? She asked. Why do you see people instead of tools? Why do you make others feel like family? Jacob thought about it. I think, he said slowly, it is because we know what it is like to be alone, to be afraid, to feel like we do not matter. And when we see someone else feeling that way, we want to help. We want to show them they are not alone, that they do matter, that they belong, Lyra nodded. I understand now, she said. That is what you did for me. You showed me I belonged. You did, Jacob said, from the very first day. You just did not know it yet. Lyra hugged him goodnight and went to her quarters. Jacob sat alone in the cockpit looking out at the stars and smiled. They had come so far, and they still had so far to go, but they would go together, as a family. 1 year after Lyra joined the Wayfarer, everything had changed. The ship had a reputation now. People called it the ship where everyone was family, where aliens were not seen as tools or resources but as people, where humans practiced what they preached about equality and respect. The crew had grown. 2 of the Navigari children from the rescue had joined them. Their names were Kess and Talon, and they were learning navigation from Lyra. A young human mechanic named Rita had signed on to help. Maya, an older Centauri pilot named Voss, had joined. When his previous ship abandoned him for being too old, they were a mismatched group. Different species, different backgrounds, different abilities. But they worked together like they had been doing it for decades. Because Jacob had created something special. He had created a place where everyone mattered, where everyone belonged. Lyra had become the heart of it all. She mentored the younger Navigari children, teaching them that they were more than their abilities. She helped Rita with mechanical problems. She played strategy games with Voss. She cooked meals with Chen. She was confident now, happy, alive. One day, a ship arrived at their docking station with official markings. Jacob felt a familiar dread. Officials usually meant trouble. A Navigari woman in formal robes stepped off the ship. She was accompanied by 2 guards and a human diplomat. Jacob met them at the airlock. Captain Torres, the Navigari woman said, I am Counselor Shira. I represent the Navigari Council. I am here about your daughter. Jacob felt his protective instincts flare. Lyra is legally my daughter. You cannot take her. We are not here to take her, Shira said. We are here to understand. There are reports that you have been raising Navigari children as family, that you treat them as individuals, not as resources. This is unusual. It should not be unusual, Jacob said carefully. It should be normal. Perhaps, Shira said, but it is not our way. We value our children for their abilities. We train them. We use them. It is what makes them valuable. They are valuable because they are alive, Jacob said, not because they can navigate. What happens when they get old? When their abilities fade? Are they worthless then? Shira looked uncomfortable. That is different. No, it is not, Jacob said. You have taught your children that their worth is tied to what they can do. What happens to them when they cannot do it anymore? What happens to their sense of self? Before Shira could answer, Lyra appeared in the corridor. Kes and Talon were with her. The three Navigari children stood together looking at the counselor. Counselor Shira, Lyra said politely. I am Lyra Torres. This is my father. Shira stared at her. You look well. Happy. I am, Lyra said. I have a family. I have friends. I have a home. I am more than a navigator now. I am a daughter, a sister, a teacher, a pilot. I am many things, Kes stepped forward. I was working on a cargo ship before, he said. I calculated routes 12 hours a day. I slept in the navigation bay. I ate alone. Now I live here. I have my own room. I play games, I laugh. I matter, Talon nodded. My father gave me to a corporation when I was 6. They told me I was valuable, but they meant my abilities, not me. Here I am valuable because I am me. Captain Jacob says I am important even when I make mistakes. Even when I am not perfect, Shira looked at the 3 children. Then she looked at Jacob. How do you do this? How do you make them feel this way? I just treat them like people, Jacob said. I see them for who they are, not what they can do. I feed them. I make sure they sleep. I teach them that they matter. It is not complicated, but they do have to work, Shira said. They navigate for you. Yes, Lyra said. But that is only part of what we do, and we choose to help. Dad never forces us, he asks. And we say yes because we want to, because helping family is what you do. Shira was quiet for a long time. The Navigari government has been watching you, Captain Torres. We have seen how you treat our children. We have heard the stories. Some in our government are angry. They say you are interfering with our culture. But others are starting to ask questions. They are wondering if we have been doing things wrong. You have, Lyra said firmly. You taught us that we only matter if we are useful. But humans taught me something different. They taught me that I matter because I exist. That is what you forgot. Shira looked at Lyra with something like wonder. You have changed, she said. You are not like the other Navigari children I know. You are stronger, happier, more confident. That is what happens when you are loved, Lyra said simply. You grow. You become yourself. You learn who you really are. The counselor stayed for several hours. She toured the ship. She met the crew. She watched how they interacted. She saw Maya teaching Kes how to repair a power junction. She saw Chen playing a board game with Talon. She saw Jacob reading a story to all 3 Navigari children before their rest period. When she left, she looked different, thoughtful, changed. Captain Torres, she said at the airlock, I came here believing you were harming our children by filling their heads with dangerous ideas. But I see now that you are showing them something we forgot. You are showing them what it means to be whole, to be valued for who you are, not what you can do. Will you try to take them away? Jakob asked. No, Shira said. I will return to the council and tell them what I saw. I will tell them that perhaps humans understand something important, something we need to learn again. I cannot promise they will listen, but I will try. She looked at Lyra. Your father was wise, she said. He chose well. Take care of her, Captain. Always, Jacob promised. After the counselor left, the crew gathered in the galley. They were all there. Maya and Rita, Chen and Voss, Lyra and Kes and Talon. All different. All family. Do you think things will change? Chen asked. For the Navigari? I do not know, Jacob said. But at least we planted a seed. Sometimes that is enough. We are going to get more refugees, are we not? Maya said with a grin. More people who hear about us and want what we have. Probably, Jacob admitted. Good, Voss said. This ship was too empty before. Now it feels right. It feels like home, Kes said softly. Everyone nodded. It did feel like home. Not because of the ship itself, but because of the people in it. Because of what they had built together. Later that night, Jakob and Lyra stood in the observation deck looking out at the stars. They were heading to a new colony, where the crew planned to settle for a few months between cargo runs. A place where they could rest. where they could just be a family. Dad, Lyra said, can I tell you something? Always, Jacob said. Before I met you, I thought home was a place. I thought it was Velix Prime where I was born. But I was wrong. Home is not a place. Home is people who see you, people who value you, people who love you no matter what. She looked up at him, her silver eyes bright. Humans have a saying. Home is where the heart is. I finally understand what that means. Home is where your family is. And my family is here. With you? Jakob felt his throat tighten with emotion. You are my home too, Lyra. You and everyone on this ship. You are what makes it all worth it. Lyra hugged him tightly. Thank you, she whispered. For seeing me. For giving me a home. For teaching me that I matter. You always mattered, Jacob said. I just helped you see it. They stood together, watching the stars drift by. The same stars that had brought them together. The same stars that Lyra could see in her mind, mapping courses and finding safe paths through dangerous space. But she was so much more than a navigator now. She was a daughter, a sister, a teacher, a friend. She was whole. She was loved. She was home. And that, Jacob thought, was the real gift humans had to offer the galaxy. Not advanced technology or superior weapons, but the ability to make others feel like they belonged. The ability to see people, not tools. The ability to create family from strangers. It was humanity's true superpower. And it was the most powerful one of all. The Wayfarer jumped to hyperspace carrying its precious cargo of misfits and refugees, of lost souls who had found each other and created something beautiful. A family, a home, a place where everyone belonged. And somewhere in the depths of space, Ambassador Velthar's last wish had come true. His daughter had found a home. She had found a father who loved her. She had found what every child deserves. She had found a place where she mattered. Not because she could navigate the stars, but because she was loved. And that made all the difference.